the guru on the job interview thing. No? Maybe? No, I don't think it's a maybe. I don't think it's a maybe.
A little bit.
Oh well. Okay. Carol, we will have to talk about that. We will. Welcome.
What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well today. Hey, if you're thinking about the DMV, we can help demystify, even teach you how to thrive on how to live here. Welcome to our first live Q&A.
We can help you demystify the whole RTP Raleigh Charlotte thing too. Demystify marriage. Today is Ask Us Anything, our first live with Ask Us Anything. We want to say welcome and thank you for being here. We're going to spend the next hour or so with you, just breaking down some things. So let's just start with what happened this week.
This week with Heath and Tracy.
Christmas,
just ain't Christmas without the one you love.
If you have any questions, just put a Q in the comments and we'll know that a question's in there. You can comment too. We love the comments. But if you have a question, put a Q, capital Q in the comment and put all of it in caps. That way we'll know when we see it. Let's see now. And if you're new here, type new. I think everybody's new today, right?
New you.
New you. That's what you type in there. New you. Okay. So if you don't know us, who are we?
Well, I'm Heath.
And I'm Tracy.
We're parents, podcasters, and joyfully married after 30 years.
30.
Hey, if you want some positivity, you want an upbeat vibe, hook up with us. Stop by. Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern.
No, well, we're going to do 11.
We're going to start doing 11, baby?
Yeah, let's do 11.
Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. You can find me and the Queen right here. Live streaming.
So if you need good news, you need positivity, you need your questions answered about moving to the DMV, you need your questions answered about moving to North Carolina, or you got some relationship issues,
stop by, holler at us.
We're here for you.
This is why we do it.
So welcome to This Week with Heath and Tracy. All right, so let's talk about this week in Christmas. One thing I do want to say about living in this area compared to North Carolina is Instacart.
Not IG.
No.
Not Instagram.
So Instacart is the go-to. When you have mom, when you're like me and you don't have time to go to the grocery store, or you've got this awakening happening and you don't want to go to the grocery store, Instacart has been great.
They know what it is.
But compared to where we lived before, which was Cary, North Carolina, to here is 10 times better. It's 10 times better here. I think the people here are professional. Mm-hmm. They know where they're going. They know what's there, what's not there. They know.
They're fast.
Oh my God. I haven't been to Costco. I've been to Costco once. The people that go to Costco here are amazing.
Yes.
And then if you roll that into opportunities, that's a side hustle opportunity to live here.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are doing that, and they're doing it well.
Add to the bank.
It well.
Yeah. So we've been really happy with that.
Online shopping here, same thing. Even though there's so much more here as far as shopping compared to North Carolina, the shopping here is really good. Online shopping was a challenge this week, though. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of the companies were talking about capacity issues and having some backlog, those kinds of things, right? So I think Amazon mentioned that they were not taking large orders from some of the big box retailers, some of those kinds of things.
So we definitely felt it here. I don't know how it was in North Carolina. but I know here we definitely felt it.
Yeah, it's par for the course during the Enlightenment.
We also had snow. We had a little bit of snow,
Let
guys.
it snow.
But you know what? I don't like snow.
I
don't snow. And that was a big deal for me moving from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Is how's the weather going to be? And I've lived here before. I've lived here before.
We're right on that line, right? So we're not kind of New York, New Jersey. When you get up into that area, you get a little more. Bad. You get a little more, but a few dustings a year in the DMV every now and then, like they had the big snow apocalypse.
Yeah, and it pretty much shuts down. It's not like it's not like being in New York.
Like Atlanta, like North Carolina. It's like, hey, if you predicting a few inches of snow, it's pandemonium up here too.
Right.
So all good.
And then if you want to see,
but we did have some beautiful snowflakes and some flurries yesterday.
Was Christmas morning. Yes.
We had the music playing. I was playing something and the Queen goes, "Baby, I'm feeling more soulful. Put on like some OJs or some Babyface or something."
Yeah, I wanted that.
So we had the OJs Home for Christmas joint back in yesterday. So that was playing in the background with the snowflakes coming down. I was like, "Little baby, it's so beautiful."
Yeah, it was good.
Had a little Babyface playing. It was dope. A little Christmas Day. Day action.
Good. Now, and if you want to know what it looks like around here and what it feels like, check out the new movie.
Wonder Woman!
It's called Wonder Woman 1984. We happened upon it last night.
You're a Wonder Woman!
We're not into giving movie opinions because we're not professionals about movie opinions.
But, the movie was...
I was glad I was home. I was glad I could talk during the movie.
But what we loved was like all of the spots in the DMV that showed up in the movie.
We were like, that's so-and-so. That's so-and-so. That's so. They had
I was over there the other day.
Yeah, they showed the Hirshhorn Museum. They showed Georgetown. They showed Old Town.
The Potomac.
They showed Potomac. They showed, and
Washington Monument.
And the way they showed, and the way they showed how they were walking and using. That's how people live here. So it was very, very cool. Very European. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was dope.
So let's go ahead and hop into our first question. Let's see what we got here. Gang Rex said, "Hi and welcome to Heath and Tracy Live." Okay, so it says, "Hi Heath and Tracy, hope you're enjoying the DMV. I'm moving to the U.S. next year and was looking at either Raleigh or the DMV. I'm a network engineer, looking to see your perspective on both cities."
Wow, great questions right there, Gang Rex said. So. Yeah, I think a couple things. One, our lens is a bit different because we went to college here.
Yeah.
And so we had kind of a viewpoint of what this area was like before we moved. This time, we spent the last 10 years in North Carolina, right? So we were living in that Raleigh-Durham area. We settled in Cary, and we're originally from the South, from Atlanta. But the question is relating to North Carolina and the DMV. So
he's a network engineer.
So you're a network engineer, which is really cool, right? So
for both areas.
I think the space that you're in bodes very well, regardless of where you go, right? Because engineers are definitely needed. Everybody's looking to understand how to connect their networks, how to engage with cloud activity, cloud applications, all the kinds of things that relates to what you do. So kudos to you for being in the sweet spot. What I love about you in North Carolina is that there's a number of companies that could use your talent there, right? Yeah. So you have companies like Red Hat that are located downtown. Their corporate HQ, worldwide headquarters is in downtown Raleigh. Cisco, fantastic company. And so that is also in the RTP area. I worked for NetApp for many years, right? So data management, storage, hybrid cloud. Lots of opportunities there. IBM has a large presence.
Yes.
Also in RTP. And then there are lots of startups and smaller companies, bio, pharma, lots of opportunity, I think, for you. So North Carolina is a fantastic opportunity for you. And juxtapose that against DC, the DMV is the same thing, right? Lots of companies, global companies have regional headquarters here, national headquarters here, government-centric operations connected to the DMV. So I think that is also a fantastic opportunity for you, right? As well as, companies like Amazon that have already announced that they're hiring tens of thousands of people in the DMV. over the next 10 years. So lots of opportunities with the major cloud providers, Microsoft and Google Cloud as well.
I think you would make more money in the DMV.
Absolutely. You would definitely make more money in the DMV.
Because it costs more to live here.
Yeah. So you have to be cognizant of that.
But I don't think sometimes the engineers make enough money in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So it's like if you got an offer here in the DMV and you see how expensive it is here and everything, the offer you get will pay for your lifestyle.
Yeah, it'll be commensurate, certainly.
Yeah,
it'll be commensurate, certainly, and there could be some even better benefits of being in the DMV.
Whereas the cost of living has exploded in most parts of the country, including North Carolina, Raleigh, RTP. So not so much, not so much. You'll be fine, it'll be fine, but you will probably feel like you need more money.
So if I'm ranking them, I think the DMV would be my first choice for you, and North Carolina second choice. But great question, Game Rick. So, all the best to keep us posted on how that progresses.
Thank you so much. Okay, what's our next question?
Well, I see Thomas Robertson is asking about the Ballston area in Rosslyn.
Hi, Thomas. Thanks for joining us.
What's going on, Thomas? Thanks for being here, man. I think that Ballston, Rosslyn are fantastic locations.
Great locations.
That's actually very close to where Tracy and I ended up living here. So we're in Nova, as they say, which is N-O. Northern VA is Virginia, right? So Northern Virginia is where we live. So very close to the District of Columbia. Great access in and out of the city, not far from Maryland and our friends that live on that side of the river. So I think Ballston or Rosslyn would be great for a number of reasons. One is transportation. So from a metro perspective, right, as things kind of quiet down with the Enlightenment, I think you'll see people using metro a lot more than it's being used today. But depending on where you're working and where you're going, that can also play into it. So if you're working in Northern Virginia, Rosslyn, Ballston are both phenomenal. If you're working in DC, Rosslyn and Ballston are both phenomenal. If you're working further out in Northern Virginia, that still works, right? So those are phenomenal locations from my perspective. And I think that if you can find something that works for you and your family and it's close to work, Tracy and I are all about design, right? So the idea is if you are not in the area and you're coming to the area and you can literally create the scenario that you want, do that, right? Design your life. Who is that? Oprah or somebody has that?
I don't know who says that.
But the point is, the last couple of times that Tracy and I have moved, that's certainly a technique that we've deployed.
And we'll talk about that later in the stream.
Absolutely. So so both of those are excellent areas.
But so Rosslyn and Ballston are very much alike. Rosslyn is closer to DC than Ballston is. And they're both condo living, apartment living. Now, there is this really cool place near Clarendon, which is also part of... Clarendon is in between Rosslyn and Ballston, okay? So Clarendon is like a mini in-town kind of Georgetown feel. And then they have some single homes that are in walking distance to the hot spots in Clarendon. So Clarendon, you have everything. You have Crate and Barrel. You have Home Goods. Not Home Goods. You have Crate and Barrel, Whole Foods. You have Pottery Barn. You have nail shops. Literally everything, all the banks, all the restaurants, one of our favorite restaurants and everything. So Clarendon is probably where I focused when I first looked at Arlington because I wanted us to be in walking distance and everything. But with the awakening, we used another word for that. With the awakening, we decided we needed a little bit more to be sequestered a little bit more away from all of the activity. But man, I go downtown, we've got great sandwich shop down there, Earl's Sandwich Shop. Oh my God, it's so good. So look at Clarendon too. Rosslyn is great. If I had to choose between Rosslyn, Ballston, and Clarendon, I would probably choose Clarendon. Ballston is cool, but they're doing a lot of construction in Ballston right now.
Yeah, I have some friends that live in Ballston too. They really like it.
And Ballston is really cool. To me, Ballston feels a little bit more city too.
Yeah.
Clarendon has a neighborhood attached, so it's a lot of neighborhood. And then Rosslyn is definitely high rises. It's just high. There are no homes in Rosslyn.
Yeah, there are
just
few townhouses,
yeah, it's a few
but lots of condo opportunities there.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next question. We had a North Carolina question on here, Harold. Being black in Raleigh.
Being black in the USA, baby.
I will say this, Harold, and thank you for your question. Thanks for joining us.
What's up,
Thank
Harold?
you for joining us.
Harold the building, Harold Steve.
It's
What, you want me to tackle this one, baby?
no, I'll tackle it.
Okay, go ahead, tackle it, girl.
I prefer it here. Raleigh took some getting used to.
Mm-hmm. And our paradigm, of course, growing up, I grew up in Atlanta. Tracy
I grew up in South Florida.
And then going to college in the DMV, right? So we were accustomed to a certain vibe that you have in those metropolitan areas, in those cities, right? There are lots of black people, lots of people that look like you, very diverse scenarios. And when we settled into Cary, it was a majority scenario versus as diverse as we were accustomed to,
and it was evident that it was a majority scenario.
So we found that really interesting when we first moved there. But a lot of it has to do with your headspace, right, and sort of how you approach things. And I don't really get down into the minutia of what other people think or what other people are doing. I'm doing me, right? I stay prayed up. I'm making sure that my family is taken care of and looking for the best scenarios as relates to that. And so I think if you take sort of a positive mindset approach, regardless of where you are, regardless of where you live, it'll be fine. Now, having said that, for us, we really enjoy DC, the DMV, much better than we did North Carolina.
Yeah.
Although North Carolina really helped us in terms of career and leveling out what we were doing from a financial perspective. And so it was still a tremendous blessing for us.
Yeah. So
thanks for your question, Harold.
Thanks for your question, Harold. And just keep a positive mind. They're not going to call you out of your name or anything like that. It's just a different feel.
Yeah.
That's a big, and you know what I mean when I say that. It's a different feel. So I think it's important to keep your mind right and keep your mindset right. But it'll be fine. So Pisces Empress. Hey girl, how you doing?
I'm an Aquarius man, so a shout out
Virgo energy here.
Shout out to the Pisces Princess. What's happening?
So
welcome. You
welcome.
gotta give us some sound.
Yeah.
Give Pisces some sound.
Yes.
What's up, Pisces?
Okay, so her question is.
So she's asking, how is Alexandria and the Arlington area? So for us, we love those areas, right? So when we were on our first cycle here, when we were just completing college, we lived in Alexandria and we lived in the Arlington area and we worked in those areas.
So we're familiar.
So we were familiar. They work well, very close to the city, accessibility as it relates to metro. If you're working in those areas, that also works. So we feel like there's very little things to say negatively about Alexandria, Arlington. So dope areas. Yeah, we looked in Alexandria and we looked in Arlington, and we chose Arlington for one reason, big one reason. Yep. There's no fiber in Alexandria. Whenever we pulled up a house we were interested in, there was no, and here the fiber is FiOS. Yeah. So Verizon. we were used to Google Google Fiber. Yeah, we had Google Fiber and we had AT&T Fiber too. Yeah, and AT&T. But the really good thing about living in North Carolina is Google Fiber. If you live in a look it up before you move in. It is amazing. Yeah. So we knew we wanted that same experience, especially with everyone being at home and working during the awakening. So, and from school and everything. So we really needed that speed and internet and everything. So what we wanted to do was make sure that we had that. So that was the major difference for us. And you can imagine what that's like, right? Just with the number of devices a person has in today's environment. And for us, I mean, we literally have 7 adults living in our house, right? So 4 children and Tracy's mom. So you talk about everybody's got smartphones, everybody's got laptops and computers. and we cut the cord on, direct TV and those kinds of things, right? So now you're streaming, you're working, you got to be able to tie into everything. So there's a lot of stuff.
So that was the main reason we chose Arlington over Alexandria.
Yeah.
It's literally 15 minutes for us to get to Alexandria. So we didn't feel like we were missing out on anything.
Mm-hmm.
We did do an overview of Alexandria this week, and we're going to talk about Alexandria overall next week on our show.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you come back next week, and when we talk strictly about Alexandria, because it's really, really an amazing place. It's one of the oldest places in the country, and it shows. It's just so beautiful there.
Yeah.
And then Arlington, to me, is a little bit more like DC.
Mm-hmm. Actually, at one point in history, Arlington was actually part of the District of Columbia.
Yeah, it was. They were part when they originally created Washington D.C. Arlington was D.C.
Yep.
So that's and it's just it was a better commute for Heath to get to
where am I be going?
It's called National Landing,
Mm-hmm.
where he's going to be going on a daily basis. So it's a better commute. It's a better commute to D.C. It depends on where you're going. Now, if you're going to the northeast or the southeast side of D.C., Alexandria is going to really work for you because you just hop on that bridge, go straight across. It's not going to be too hard to get to D.C. But
it's close to Maryland, too.
It's close to Maryland. PG County, southeast D.C., northeast D.C. So living in Alexandria is really, really going to help you. If you're going to go to Maryland, the other side of Maryland, like NIH or Potomac or Gaithersburg or something, you want to live in Arlington or McLean. If you're going to work in McLean, there are a lot of jobs in McLean and Tyson's. So if you're going to do that, Arlington is going to be better. As far as housing prices, I would say Alexandria is a little bit more reasonable. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, there's some parts of Alexandria that are palatable.
Yeah, definitely Alexandria is going to be more reasonable as far as housing. But as far as services and all that, is wonderful. Yep. Alexandria is wonderful as far as services are concerned. I think you definitely need a car in most areas of Alexandria, whereas in Arlington, where we live, we need a car, but there are areas in Arlington you don't need a car that we were talking about earlier. Ballston, Clarendon, and Rosslyn. You don't need a car in those areas.
And you can navigate Alexandria depending on navigate Alexandria without a car.
It's gonna be difficult.
They do have some metro stations down there,
yeah.
And so if you can get close to a bus route, get to the metro, and then you can move around into the city or wherever you need to go.
Okay.
So that's so Game Rec Set has a follow-up question.
Okay.
Talking about the DMV in general. Which area would we recommend? DC, Nova, or the surrounding Maryland areas. So I mean,
this is a big one.
Yeah, we find all of them dope, right? We have tons of friends that live in Maryland.
Yep.
We have friends that live in DC proper.
Yep.
We have friends that live in Northern Virginia. I think that it really is predicated on what's most important to you, right? And so as you're lining those things up, hey, where am I working? Where am I living? Where do I want to go? What kind of lifestyle am I looking for? Do I want more of a suburban vibe? Do I think I would prefer to live in the city and have that city vibe, that energy, right? All of those things should play into the decision that you make. So I think it really is a personal decision as it relates to how much commuting can you stand? What kind of work are you doing? Are you working from home? Do you need to be close to your job? Are you going to have to go in every day or many days, kind of post-enlightenment? All of those kinds of things, I think, come into play. But I think any of those areas make sense for you just based on your approach.
Yeah, I think that, some people have an aversion to living in Northern Virginia for historical reasons. And some people, don't want to live in. So you got PG County, you've got Arlington County, you've got Alexandria, Fairfax, Montgomery County. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Montgomery County is what you see, like Housewives of Potomac and NIH, and that's Montgomery County. Gaithersburg, Rockville, Maryland. Then you've got Fairfax County, Loudoun County. There's a lot of technology and everything in Loudoun County. Arlington is just kind of this hotbed of just different ways because the commutes are so good to get everywhere. And Alexandria, Old Town Alexandria, you can get to if you live in Northern Virginia. So there's so many choices. I think you really, really have to look at what your commute is going to be like. I would start with commute, just to be honest with you, because it is such a big, big place to live. It's got 3 different municipalities, and the traffic here is a beast. So I would definitely look to live close to where I work, or with an easy commute, not necessarily with Metro, because it's not like the New York subway or the London Underground. I would definitely look to be, for quality of life, I would look to be near my job. So if you live, if you work in NIH, you probably want to live in Maryland, somewhere around there. If you
NIH, National Institutes of Health.
Yeah, Walter Reed, those hospitals.
That's over there where Dr. Fauci is, right?
That's where Dr. Fauci is. If you work in the Crystal City, National Landing, DC area, you can do Northern Virginia. You can do parts of Maryland, but not. You just want to be cognizant of your commute. And it's really cool now, because when you look at the Zoom apps and the Redfin apps, and that, if you put in the commute thing, it'll tell you what the commute is.
Yeah. That's another pro tip right there, right? So check out those apps and put in at different times of day where you are, where you would be leaving from, and where you would be going. And you can sort of see the range of what that commute looks like. Yep. Now, again, having said that, that also may look different this summer, this fall, than it does today.
Right.
So keep that in mind as well. But so great question.
Thanks for your question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Thomas is talking about church, and it's so important, Thomas, right? So making sure that you got your spiritual life in order, having those places to commune with believers and those kinds of things. So I think that there are a plethora of churches here, right? So many. There are a lot more churches than liquor stores. So having said that, I think, very personal decisions as well, right? And so with Enlightenment, we have all kinds of live streaming, right? There are lots of ways that you can get your spiritual food. Out now. So I would certainly encourage you to try that, but I don't think that you have any challenges finding a church home or a group that you really vibe with.
Yeah, we don't want to say any particular church because we don't know how your belief system works, but there are a lot of very, very active, engaged, community-driven Black churches here that are amazing and that you would love to be a part of.
Yep.
So check them out online first. Just go online and check them out. They've got some streaming services now, and connect yourself into as if you lived here now, which you can do now virtually. So it's great. Great question.
There you go.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. So the next thing we wanted to talk about was let's talk about 2021, guys, and welcoming in 2021. When you think about moving to a city like DC, if you're moving from a city that's not as expensive as DC or something like that, you want to focus. You want to focus on what's going on. So the next thing we want is 2021. And the first thing I want to say is, let's be grateful. Let's be grateful for 2020 with all of its challenges, all of its warts. Because when you're grateful for where you are, where you live right now, where you want to be is going to happen. Yes. It's going to happen. Trust me. And we're going to tell our story later on in the stream. But what we like to do is plan. And we like to have a planning session. So what Heath and I do is we get together once a year around this time. We have our meeting coming up this week. And we sit down and we do a long planning session.
Yeah, it's really important.
And we start with what we're grateful for, right? And then we roll into brainstorming, right? And what I love about brainstorming is actually brainstorming is one of my favorite exercises. And what I love about brainstorming is that there are no incorrect answers, right? So if it enters into your brain, you just put it down. You write it down. If it's a whiteboard, if it's a piece of paper, whatever it is, it's just like if it comes into your mind, then you get it out, right? And so I love brainstorming because it reminds you of limitless thought, that there's no incorrect answer. There's nothing that you can't do. So just go for it, right? So brainstorming, really important. What's the next thing we do, baby? So the next thing we do is, what are your non-negotiables? When we say non-negotiables, like I'll give you an example. There was a truck that he loved, and it was sitting in our driveway because he didn't want to get rid of it. I bought it for Heath years ago when our kids were toddlers.
It was for Father's Day.
It was, and it was, he just couldn't let it go. But my non-negotiable last year was the truck's got to go.
The truck must go.
So
it was a 2001 Yukon XL.
And it was great. It was one of the best cars we ever had.
It had like 275
miles on
76,000 miles on it.
It took our kids from teenagers to them driving it to school. It was great. I mean, from toddlers to them driving it to school.
Yep.
But back to your non-negotiables. What are you doing now that you don't want to do anymore, or you don't want in your life anymore, or you want to do differently? So then you want to write those down. The third thing is,
how much you gonna make this year?
What?
21.
What? We gonna talk about money?
21 is coming. What's up with the money? Right? And so I think it was.
And we're gonna get back to your questions. Just hang on.
I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, "How do you have goals? How do you get to a target that you don't have?"
Yeah.
And so the idea is that money is important to live life, and so if you don't have a money target, a goal target, an income target, then how do you get there?
And these days it needs to be more than, I'm just gonna do my job. As we've learned this year, things change.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do differently this year to bring in that income? What are you going to do to bring in more income? If you have a job that you love and you make good money from, what are you going to do to make more money in that job?
Yeah.
Okay? And then the next thing we do is
you look back at what your previous year looked like
to move forward.
And so how do you move forward from that, right? So looking at that benchmark, understanding where you are, what you did, what you wanted to execute on that you didn't, and how are you going to leverage those learnings into going forward. So looking backward in order to look forward.
Yeah, looking back. And the last thing we do is, how will you make your money?
Oh,
are you going to finally start that Etsy shop? Are you going to start driving Uber or Lyft?
Are you going to take that promotion that you were talking about?
Yeah. Are you going to work toward that? Is one of you going to go back to work or change the direction of your career? There's so many things you can do, and you need to start thinking about them and talking about them and envisioning them now in order for it to happen.
And you got to write them down. Write them down, put some dates on them.
Yeah, so we just wanted to say thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. We are loving this. This is our first time live, and we're here to ask you can ask us anything. So if you have a question, just put a Q in the comments and capitalize the question, and we will answer it. So what's the next question?
Yeah, I wanted to go to, there were some questions that were sent in prior to our
stream
today.
If you go to our Bitly link, it's in the.
You want to put it up?
Yeah.
It's over there, I think.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to ask a question, just drop a question in here.
Or they can put it in the comments.
Or you can put it in the comments.
Put the Q.
So we're gonna grab a question from our Bitly links. Ask Heath and Tracy. What's the first one?
Yeah. I want you to look at this one, baby. I think they're talking about traffic. So they visited a friend last year, and they were visiting their friend in last December on my home from RTP to Michigan.
Okay, yeah, they were on their way home from RTP to Michigan, visiting a friend last year.
And they were trying to get out of DC.
And they were trying to get out of DC in the morning and during rush hour. It was a huge mess. It says, "Wow, how are you getting around DC's traffic?" Yeah,
so that's a lot there in that question. I think one of the important things is the time of day, right? And so there's a lot that goes into that. But understanding the traffic patterns in the area and how early or how late you have to move and what are the transportation options that you're leveraging in order to do that. So if you're coming into DC or going out of Metro DC, you want to do it early in the morning.
Yes.
So you don't get stuck in that because you get caught in the muck and the mire. It's going to be challenging.
It's gonna take you almost double time.
So what I found is anytime I'm moving around, when I would go from North Carolina to Washington, metropolitan Washington, because I had some business or I would come in to see my daughters or something of that nature, I would leave North Carolina 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. And so that way, when I get here, hey, I'm right here kind of in the flow of rush hour. I'm already moving. Everything's moving. So that was much better. But if you start moving around in this rush hour, that's going to be really challenging. So keep that in mind. I think
we use GPS a lot. We don't go anywhere.
That's another pro tip.
Literally, we don't go anywhere. We don't go up the street.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go anywhere without putting it in our phone, Apple Maps. Because what that does is it gets us around whatever is going on.
Yep.
And it's also fun because we learn new ways to get where we're going.
That's another pro tip. So even if you know the area, you know where you're going, you know what you're doing.
Yep.
If you're using some of the, if you're using your devices, whether it's Apple or Google or Waze, the software is being updated constantly. And it'll tell you, hey, there's an accident over here, or it'll just direct you in a different way.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, why is it taking me that way? Well, it's doing that because it's understanding all the data points and the traffic patterns. It's leveraging algorithms. It's using AI. It's using different IoT things to get people from point A to point B. So leverage your devices, right? There's a lot of value there. So great question. And thank you to
who was
that was Thomas. That was
Thomas.
That
okay.
was Thomas's earlier question.
Oh no, that was Lynn Stevens.
Yeah,
Lynn Stevens.
That was Lynn. Yeah.
And it says, okay, used to live there a few years ago. How are you guys feeling being back in D.C. after being in North Carolina? I want to move back.
Yeah, so it's been great for us thus far, right? We've been here about 3 months now, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like a breath of fresh air, right? And so we lived in North Carolina for about 10 years. We felt like it was about time for us to leave, although we were not
we didn't.
Like trying to just like, I gotta make it happen.
Yeah, I was.
Right? We were in the flow and we were listening. we were cognizant of what was happening and that kind of thing. Tracy was ready to go.
I was ready.
But yeah, so it's been great. It's been great. The area's been great. We love the neighborhoods. We love the vibe of the city, the surrounding areas. We have lots of friends here. So for us, win-win-win.
So the next one is, I may be moving to Greensboro metro area. Mark Peterson asked, T. Mark Peterson. I may be moving to Greensboro metro area. Any advice?
Yeah, so Greensboro is, I think, the 3rd largest metro area in North Carolina, right? So you have Charlotte, which is probably the biggest city in North Carolina, and then the Raleigh-Durham area where we live in Cary is the 2nd largest, and then Greensboro is the 3rd. So you got kind of like the college vibe there with University of North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina A&T University. Shout out to the Aggies, HBCU pride, no doubt. And I think that there's a lot of economic activity in Greensboro,
especially now. Yeah.
Right, there's some industrial business out there as well. And so I think that if you're in Greensboro, I think it's fine. It's about an hour to get over to Raleigh if you want to do some additional shopping or do some different things. It's not that far to Charlotte as well, right? And so, hey, maybe a weekend jaunt. Also going over into the mountains if you're into the mountains of North Carolina, which are beautiful. So I think lots of cool things about Greensboro if that's where you need to be. So shout out to Greensboro. Kudos to you.
All right. And the next question is, let's see. I'll turn it this way.
Okay. So Sophia said, hey, I'm considering moving to North Carolina or elsewhere, but trying to find the best place to live as a single person with kind of a marriage mindset. Yeah. So I get that, Sophia, right? So great question. I think that if you're going to North Carolina, if you're considering North Carolina and you're single and you want to be married, I think that you may have
tougher than DC.
Yeah, you may have the most success probably in Metro Charlotte. I would say versus Raleigh or Greensboro, right? Yeah. So some of those areas are Raleigh, Greensboro. Those areas are lots of family oriented. People are executing business, doing those kind of career things. Not a lot of kind of single vibe stuff. hey, we got a club, we got a lounge thing happening.
That's
over
more
here.
Charlotte area.
Yeah.
What
So
they call the Triad, I think.
Yeah, so I would definitely say Charlotte over the other two areas.
Yeah.
Now, as it relates to the DMV, I think there are lots of single people here, right? Lots of really cool vibes, bars, restaurants,
brunches,
brunches, museums.
Yeah, it's
just things that are happening in and around town, the mall,
and lots of married people too.
Yeah. So I think that from a single perspective, the DMV certainly would be great as it relates to that.
Yeah,
I know a lot of single people that live in Atlanta as well. Lots of things in Atlanta. I know we're not really kind of talking about. No, we're not really talking about Atlanta, but just in general, from that perspective, I think Atlanta is also somewhere to consider. From that.
Yeah, I wouldn't move to Atlanta as a single woman. That's my opinion.
Where would you move if you were a single woman, baby?
I would be in DC.
You'd be in DC?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be good here. I wouldn't be in North Carolina. Absolutely not.
Sophia, the queen, has spoken.
Yeah, I have girlfriends in North Carolina, and they're like, "Oh my God, help me." So don't do North Carolina.
Yeah.
Definitely do DC. A lot of times they come up here, they travel up here, and they like the scene better up here.
Yeah. So Ashley asked a question about breaking down the best neighborhoods in DMV for young professionals.
So we'll do that at a separate time. It's really entailed because it's so detailed. There's so many neighborhoods here. Just in Arlington, there's so many neighborhoods. You got family neighborhoods. But if you want to think about singles, young singles, I go back to Clarendon. Lion Park, right outside the Clarendon area. You got access. You could also do DC proper and anywhere. Northeast is really popular right now. Northeast DC, those neighborhoods.
But there's a caveat to Ashley's question, baby.
What?
She says, my husband and I are considering making the move from Atlanta and would like to purchase a home.
Woo! Okay, purchasing a home in DC.
So here's the thing, Ashley. Let me give you the most important piece first. Bring the bag. If you're gonna buy a house in Metro DC, bring the bag. You may have to borrow a bag.
Yeah.
You may have to crowdsource a bag.
If you get a house, you might have to ask somebody to move in with you. You know, it's different here.
It's a little different than being in Atlanta. Oh, I like that $400,000 house over there. I'm gonna buy it.
No, you're not gonna like it. First of all.
So that might be
the average home in DC is what?
In the district proper, the average home is about $1 million now.
Yeah.
Now further out, there's some suburbs of Maryland and
much further.
Yeah, you're gonna have to ride. You're gonna have to ride a little bit.
Woodbridge.
You're gonna have to ride a little bit.
It's way out in Montgomery County.
You might have to go further out in Montgomery County.
No, I think they're way out. That further out, you can get 7.
But that's
Silver Springs.
That's another string.
Yeah. So if you want to buy a house now, if you got money, go for it.
Yeah.
Do the inside the Beltway thing. If you're just starting out, your first house, and you don't have a lot of money, just look outside of the Beltway.
Yeah,
we'll start there.
Ashley is also saying that they're moving from Atlanta, so that's going to be a different paradigm.
It's going to be sticker shock.
There's a different paradigm as well.
It was a little bit of sticker shock for us moving from North Carolina, and North Carolina is more than Atlanta.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There you go.
But that's a great idea. Thanks for your question too. Okay, what's the next one?
John is asking about safety.
Hi, John. Welcome.
What's up, John? So just from a safety perspective, so hey, Heath and Tracy, I'd like to know about safety. I'm moving to the DMV next year, September, but I've been reading some comments around crime in the area. What's your perspective? Okay. Yeah, John, so I get it, man. You're always cognizant about your safety, right? That of you and your family. And so you want to make sure that you understand your surroundings. So I think you're really smart to do that homework and to understand what's happening in the neighborhoods. Sometimes what we found is that when you're reading the crime reports and you're diving into that data, sometimes it actually seems a lot worse than it is. So I think having said that, you also, when I used to play football in high school, they say you also want to keep your head on the swivel, right? And so the idea is that understand where you are, understand the surroundings, understand what the trends are as it relates to the crime and those kinds of things, right? And then understand also the type of crime, right? So is it is it some car theft and break-ins and some of that kind of stuff, right? Which can happen. There's so many people, so many vehicles on the street, those kinds of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of parking on the street here, so vehicles do get broken into on the street here. It doesn't matter where you live.
Yeah.
Maryland, D.C., or Virginia. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, so pro tip connected to that, because Tracy and I have some firsthand experience with this, is that if you have out-of-state tags and you are in the DMV, do not have anything visible inside of your car.
Your car will get smashed.
That's number one. And number two, even if you have DC tags, Maryland tags, or Virginia tags, what I've noticed is that, hey, if you have something in the car, you want to make sure that people can't see it. So in the trunk, closed up. So that's one thing. And then another pro tip around that is leveraging parking garages, right? Where you're going to have a lot more success in terms of your vehicle being safe versus out on the street. So, hey, bite the bullet, pay the $15, $20, whatever it is, instead of the $5 on the street. And that way you can move around, do what you need to do, and still be safe.
Yeah, and in our neighborhood in Northern Virginia, a lot of people leave their cars open overnight. They don't have anything in the car. They don't have change in the car. They don't have anything in the car, and they just leave the car open. So if people are walking around and they want to check out what's in your car, they just open the door.
Yeah.
Rummage around and then close it. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm on Nextdoor because I am aware and I'm connected to ARL.com. That's something that you do because I live in Arlington. So, and what you see there, you see the reports. So I noticed there was a certain area around our home, Pentagon City to be exact. There was a lot of gang activity going on, like initiation type stuff, like go carjack that person. Go snatch that. That kind of stuff was going on around there. So you have to be aware of this. And then I noticed what kind of cars were getting jacked. And we have one of those cars. So I was like, okay. So I would tell my kids, guys, when you drive your car, don't go here. Don't park there. Don't go there. If you go to pick up something, somebody sits in the car and somebody runs in and runs out. Okay. And so you have to be aware of where you are, like Heath said.
Yep.
Check out the police blogger reports. No, crime is not that bad here. It's just not that bad.
So from a personal safety perspective, I think that's another thing that you want to speak to, right? So like when people are moving around on Metro or whatever it is, everybody's got a bag or a satchel or whatever it is. So you want to make sure that, hey, you got it wrapped. You want to make sure you have it wrapped around your body, right? Versus just kind of like off the shoulder. So that's kind of a pro tip.
Stuff like that.
You want to make sure
you don't want to walk around with your phone. Kids will run up, snatch it, and keep going. So it's that kind of crime.
Yeah.
It's that kind of crime. But it's just crime you have to adjust.
Yeah. So be aware of that.
Yes. Adjust.
Then John is also asking about the winters in the DMV. So the winters are fairly mild if you compare it to someone who lives in New York, upstate New York, Chicago. The winters are don't even compare to those kinds of places, right? So the temperatures are what you typically would see in the South as it relates to that. It's the temperature pattern is similar to North Carolina, similar to Atlanta.
A little bit colder.
It's going to be a little bit colder, and you might have one or two more snow dustings than you would if you're a little bit further south.
Yeah, and the reason it's colder is because we're right on the Potomac. So you got this serious breeze coming in, but it's also great during the summers. So it's different in that regard. It's more humid here than it is in North Carolina. And the winters here are not bad. It's not a New York type of winter. But if you're from Florida, it's going to be a little bit rougher. I think it's in the 20s today.
Yeah. But
I'm in the house. But the sun is absolutely gorgeous. The sky is gorgeous today. So it's just to give it. As long as I get some sunshine, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. So it's not that bad. It did take me a while to get used to, though.
Yeah. So Calvin trying to get in our business right here. Calvin is
Calvin.
like, yo.
Okay, what's up, Calvin? And thanks for that question, John.
Calvin Payne, what's going on,
what's
man?
What's up, Calvin? Are we renting or owning in Arlington?
Okay. Woo. Calvin, why you all up in my business, man? So Tracy and I rent currently.
Yep.
And we actually have been renters for many years, right? For those of you that don't know, Tracy and I were realtors for many years in Metro Atlanta. And so we bought a lot of houses. We've helped people buy a lot of houses. We've helped people sell houses. So we certainly understand what that is.
We could get into a whole show about that.
Yeah. So
we're non-believers. Does that help?
Not non-believers in
we're not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Not non-believers in the Lord. We're talking about non-believers in
the system,
in buying a house and being in the system. So let me just a point of clarification around that. So to the point, Calvin, we purchased many houses over the years.
Built many.
And if any of you guys know kind of the thought process around someone like Robert Kiyosaki, he feels I think the
Grant Cardone. Yeah. But that's not where we get it from. Just so you know.
But the idea is that is your house an asset or not?
No.
And so the understanding is that your house is an asset. The question is, whose asset is it?
It's not yours.
So from that perspective, there's a lot of things that we can get into around other things that you can do with your money aside from down payments on houses, maintaining houses, fixing the roof, fixing the hot water heater, repairing this, repairing that, doing X, Y, and Z, so forth. So Tracy and I have chosen to rent. That's not to say that we'll never buy again, but
no, we Heath
rent.
And Tracy Turner will not own a house again. Maybe a corporation.
Yeah, that's another topic. Another topic for another day.
We will rent from or a trust, but not Heath and Tracy Turner.
Yeah. But hey, great question, Calvin. You to your point, and I think probably the intent behind Calvin's question is making your budget work.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're looking at buying a house, you're looking at DC real estate prices, you know that they're sky high.
Yep.
And they'll probably continue to tick up as long as interest rates are low. Prices are going to be high. And so I feel you, Calvin. It is very expensive to live in Metro DC,
and it's
Arlington specifically.
And it's cheaper to rent in the Metro DC area than it is to buy. I did the numbers, and it would take us 8 years to break even. Yeah.
So lots of dope places to rent in DC, right? Whether it's in Arlington as well, whether it's a condo or what have you. So if you're looking at doing that, Calvin, I would highly recommend renting.
And long-term rentals are luxury, and long-term rentals are common here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great question.
So are we going to...
Smith.
Let's go ahead. What time is it? Yeah, let's get one more question.
Okay. So B. Smith says, we are thinking of relocating our family from Ballston area to Cary Apex.
Oh.
As we have the opportunity to work from home.
Yep.
Do you recommend this area to move to with the schools or the people friendly? Okay, so the answer, Ben, is yes. I certainly would recommend Cary Apex as it relates to what you're looking to do. Working from home is certainly a dope option if you're blessed and fortunate enough to be able to work from home and still be able to earn the same type of income. We certainly are all about that. And people are super friendly in Cary, super friendly in Apex. And again, I think it's all mindset, right? If that's what you are in expectation of, that's what you will attract to you. And we had zero issues as it relates to people being friendly or cordial with us when we lived in the Cary Apex area. So absolutely, if that's where you're being led and that's where your opportunities are, go for it. All about it.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into us telling our story about how we moved here. When we said we were going to move here, the first thing people say is, "Oh my God, it's so expensive." You know, and people have a tendency to think that when you live in an expensive area, you can't get ahead. You'll never meet your financial goals. You'll never be able to do anything you want to do. And what we want to say to you is start with your mindset. We decided that we weren't going to stay in North Carolina indefinitely. We decided we didn't like it that much. We decided that we didn't want to stay there and just spend the rest of our lives there. Absolutely beautiful state, great place to have a family and grow, but we knew that was not our place, that we knew that was not our home. So we focused on moving. We held gratitude for where we were, the beautiful home we lived in, the great jobs that we had, but we focused on let's move. So what we did is we kept envisioning our life where else we wanted. We thought about Florida. We thought about Atlanta. We thought about DC. So we started envisioning that life. We would come to DC and we would envision living here. We would envision what the home we wanted to look like, right? So as we did that, it became easier to talk about it. And we would say things like, oh, DC's our second home, right?
Which it is.
We would say that. And then when you say that you're saying it out loud and you're starting to say it to other people. And then we start thinking about, oh, well, maybe we need to go ahead and move to DC, right?
Maybe we'll move to DC.
So then things started happening about a year ago. Wouldn't you say, babe?
Yeah, because our youngest son was approaching his 18th birthday when he was going to be graduated from high school. And so we started thinking in the back of our minds, okay, so what does that next phase of life look like for us? Where do we want to be? Where are we going to be? Where would we like to be? What are we going to be doing? And so as you begin to process those things and think about those things, I think as I would come to DC, as we would come to DC collectively, Metro DC, we started feeling the vibe of maybe that's where we want to be.
Then I lost my job.
Now, does that change anything? How does that impact what you're going to do? Do you see it as a loss or do you see it as an opportunity?
Mindset.
So it all comes back to mindset, certainly. And I think that that's what we did. We started moving through what that process was, what it was going to look like for us. And
we rested
yeah.
in the feeling that our time in North Carolina was coming to an end. We didn't know where we were going to go. We didn't know how we were going to get there, you know?
Yeah. And resting, you're getting into kind of some spiritual laws and that kind of thing. But the idea is that you don't get worked up mentally and spiritually around what's happening in the physical. You want to look at, hey, you do your thing, do the things that you know you should be doing, making sure that you're taking care of your family, protecting your mind, guarding what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're speaking. And we just continue to rest in knowing that everything is going to work out for the betterment of our family. And so that's how we approach it.
And then a wonderful opportunity presented itself to Heath.
Yeah.
And when we looked at the opportunity, we put work into the opportunity. We didn't put work into, worrying about it or anything, or worrying about moving, or worrying about how different it was going to change our lives. We were like, okay, this is an opportunity.
Right.
Let's get this. Let's jump on this. And then what you do is you put all your work into that. Don't put your work into worrying about where you're going to live, how much it's going to cost. We already decided we wanted to live here. So then we started pushing toward how do we get to it. This is the door that's opening. Let's walk through it. So we're going to walk through it, right? We're going to walk through that door and we're going to grab it by the horns and we're going to ride it. So Heath got a great opportunity, did everything. He knocked it out the butt, and then we claimed it. We claimed that opportunity. Once we figured out that this is going to work, they're going to pay us what we need to get paid, this is going to work for us, we claimed it. We didn't deny it. We didn't doubt it. We didn't worry about it. We didn't get up every morning and pray in tongues over it. We just claimed it very simply, and we rested in that. We said our prayers around it one time, and we moved on.
Because it's already done.
And then once the opportunity said, yes! Then you start thinking about, oh my gosh, housing is 75% more, or 50% more, or 100% more. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Rest in that. We had to rest in that. We know the opportunity exactly. Speak it into existence, Calvin. We knew the opportunity. It was working out. My job was gone. That was no longer holding us in North Carolina. My son was graduating. No more kids in school. That wasn't holding us in North Carolina. We knew that everything was unfolding for us to move. When the job opportunity in DC presented itself, we knew, okay, we're moving to DC. The Lord don't bring you that far and just leave you in the middle of it. So then we had to trust that He was going to give us the right living situation for our entire family during the awakening. Right?
Which is a whole nother exercise.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So we just pulled it in. We said, okay, let's just stay put for a second and wait and be patient and trust and know. That's all we did.
And here we are.
And then we found a house. I'm not done.
Go ahead, baby. Keep going.
We found a house.
Yep.
I was like, baby, that's too much. I didn't like the house simply. Everybody else fell in love with the house. I was like, don't fall in love with this house, y'all. It's too much. Too much. We negotiated a little bit. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. So we were like, okay, that's not the house. Came back.
So we continued to rest.
We rested. We didn't worry about it.
Kept doing what we were doing.
Guess what? They called us back.
They were like, hey, we dropped the price.
Y'all want this house?
Y'all still interested?
Yes. Boom.
Yep. But I need this. I need that. I need this.
And then you go back to the whole cycle again. You start back with gratitude. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for providing the way. Thank you. And all you have to do is stand in that that's your job, to stand in that rest, to stand in that triumph of knowing it's done. So if you want to move to DC, don't tell your family, oh, it's so expensive. Don't do that. Don't do that. They not you. They're not living your life. They're not in your reality.
Yeah.
The reality is you can do it.
Whatever you need will be added on to you.
Right. Whatever you need can be added on to you.
Will be.
Ooh, yes. So
these people came down live stream, baby, and a sermon broke out.
Oh, that's gonna be every week. I need people to get their mindset right. You got to get your mindset. Well, when you're asking for new things in your life, you have to have the proper mindset to execute. You know, you have to be in the right. But people out here not realizing their full life. You came here for a reason. You came here to experience all of this.
Right. Not
to be going to work every day, stuck in traffic, and not liking where you live. How in the heck do you want to stay where you don't want to be?
Right.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Step out on faith. Trust God. Trust whomever you believe in to move you into a place where you're going to enjoy your life.
Gratitude.
Be in gratitude of where you are currently so that the new way will present itself.
So we got a couple other new questions.
You want to answer more questions? Okay.
We can have a couple questions. Let's see.
What's this one?
I see. Hashem.
Oh, you can tell me where
Hashem trying to get into my personal business again.
What is?
He talking about what's our financial goals?
Oh Lord, that's a whole nother video. Hashem, we got so much stuff going on, Hashem.
Hashem, what's your financial goal?
Well, right now we've moved to a new area, so our financial situation is adjusting. And we have a lot of goals in mind. We have digital assets that we are building. Heath is coming out with a book pretty soon. We have this show that we're building. We've got some mentorship groups with relationships, marriage, money, mindset, to be exact, that we're building. We have 4 children who are also involved on the other side of our business. We are interested in real estate, but not just to buy a big old house to live in. That's not what kind of real estate we're interested in. We have stock. We're interested in that. If you don't have Robinhood, get you a Robinhood account. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do too much, because it's going to come down, just so you know. But I call that opportunity. So financial goals change all the time, right? Are you getting what you want out of life?
Hashem gets it. He gets it, baby. All right, cool.
Oh, you're looking for the inspiration. Yes. And don't worry about money. Don't worry about it. That's how you get what you want. Don't worry about it. And stay in gratitude of what you have.
Yes. Okay, so Harold Stevens has a question.
Another one, Harold? Okay, cool. Let's get a little party noise here. Okay.
Harold's got a question. Harold says, can you speak to the level of diversity, both in general and in schools, for all the places you've lived, Atlanta, North Carolina, the DMV? So this is the old realtor in me. The old realtor in me was trained to say, look, I can't really answer that question. What you can do, Harold,
can answer that question.
I'm trying to give him my real estate answer. But what you can do, Harold, is that you can go to the bus stop and you can look at the people who get off of the bus and the people who are picking them up, and you can get a sense of what the diversity is like in the community.
Every time we sold a house, that's what we would tell people. So from our experience, Atlanta is super diverse within a close part of Atlanta, but it has changed a lot. We have moved everywhere. We in Douglas County now. We're in Forsyth County.
Yeah. Well, let me
We're
back up.
Cobb County.
Let me back up
How
too.
you gonna interrupt me?
Because Atlanta's my hometown. I can speak on my
I
home.
lived in Atlanta for 20 years.
But I'm from Atlanta.
But you okay? Go
I'm
ahead.
from the A. I know about the A.
Go ahead, baby.
No, so Atlanta has always been, darker in the city, but certainly gentrification happens in Atlanta like it does in any other place, right? So it's becoming more and more diverse, which is another conversation, right? But I think that to Tracy's point, as you're coming out even into Atlanta suburbs now, they're more and more diverse, where they used to be kind of more monolithic. They used to be lighter. It used to be darker in the city and lighter in the suburbs.
Cobb County voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah. So now
Cobb County used to be Newt Gingrich's.
So now all of that. No, Gingrich was Gwinnett.
Okay.
But Gwinnett is more diverse now as well.
Yeah, all of it.
But the point is that the city is diverse, the suburbs are diverse. All of it's a lot of black people in Atlanta. That's just what it is, right? So the same thing with the district, right? So some people may know the term Chocolate City, and now it's much more swirly in the city, which is that's what it is. It's cool, and the suburbs are also now on the Maryland side. The Maryland suburbs are a little darker, but they're very diverse as well.
Yeah,
and I think in North Carolina it's a little different. I think Charlotte is darker than Raleigh.
RTP, totally, but it's getting more diverse.
But the
Raleigh.
overall area in RTP is getting more diverse, right? So Durham is darker than certainly Cary.
But it's gentrifying in Durham.
Durham is gentrifying. Yeah. Raleigh is gentrifying. Cary is typical suburb. So yeah, it's one of those things where do the homework. And we have a book. We have a North Carolina book too. We
have a North Carolina book. If you go to Heath and Tracy KnowCarolina.com, it speaks to the diversity in it's KNOW. I'll have to put it up here later, but it's Heath and Tracy KNOW Carolina, and it'll give you more information into the whole insight of all of that. There's a little book on there too.
Yeah, they can buy it on there.
I don't know. I can't remember what I did with it.
Okay.
Bear with us.
Yeah, we'll put that out there for you guys.
Yeah, we'll put it out there for you. But the important thing is that all of it is changing, especially right now. And as far as Atlanta is concerned, it's going to be browner than North Carolina, any part of North Carolina. And then DC is going to be, pretty much like Atlanta. As far as schools are concerned, it's going to be specific in the DC area. PG County is going to be brown. That's where most of us live. Most of the brown people live. I think also Woodbridge area of Virginia is also browner. And where else? Most of us. That's pretty much Silver Spring. That part of Montgomery County is definitely browner. And then DC, Northeast, Southeast DC is browner.
Yep.
When you talk about Atlanta, you're going to talk about South side of Atlanta.
East side,
South Fulton County, DeKalb County, and
Stone
Mountain, Conyers area. Some of that is definitely browner. And now, from what I understand, Cobb County, the inner part of Cobb County is browner when you talk about schools.
And I represent the SWATs.
And then North Carolina, like he said, Charlotte. I don't know exactly how Charlotte. It's very segregated in Charlotte. And then I would say.
Charlotte's diversified though.
Raleigh RTP area. Raleigh proper is going to be browner than any other area. Garner is going to be browner.
No, I think Durham is a little darker than Raleigh. Yeah,
it's changing.
But
it's changing right
now.
Yeah. Durham is going to be definitely browner.
Yeah, they get it. I think they get it.
Yeah. Douglasville houses? We have friends that live out there.
Douglasville, right? Yeah. Douglasville
and then you were saying earlier, Calvin, that you were saying something about housing Bowie are expensive. Yeah. So expensive, not for this area. Bowie is not expensive for this area at all. Yeah. So that's how you want to try to look. When you look at houses here, look at everything. That way you get a good idea of what the houses are in the area that you're attracted to. Yep. But like a lot of people think Potomac are the most expensive houses here. Potomac is not. Potomac is not. DC has the most expensive houses.
Yeah, once upon a time, Potomac was.
Well, they had the biggest houses.
Yeah.
That I will tell you. And that's another thing. Maryland has bigger houses than Virginia.
Very true.
Yeah, Virginia is going to be tighter, and the houses are still big. Don't get me wrong. They're big. But Maryland, you're going to get more space, and you're going to get a bigger house.
Yeah, people who come from Atlanta, you're accustomed to having the big property and that kind of thing. You probably want to check out the Maryland side of the DMV.
Yeah. For people in Charlotte, questions, black people. Oh, thanks, guys. Hey, guys, we appreciate you. We're going to cut off the questions here. Join us again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then some of this will be on replay. We're going to chop it up a little bit so you don't have to, listen to the whole hour, however long we've been on here, hour and 20 minutes.
It's okay, baby.
It's okay.
It's fine. They're good.
But yeah, we're going to get better at this. This is our first one. We appreciate you joining us so much. And we're only going to do lives going forward. You'll see the recordings later. If there's any place you want us to check out, we're here for it. We did Alexandria, and we're gonna talk about that next week. So if you're interested in Alexandria, Virginia, hop on here next Saturday at 11, and we're gonna talk about it. Yep. And we'll have your questions, same as always. We love you.
And if you guys on Clubhouse, we're gonna be doing some rooms in Clubhouse.
Yeah, we're gonna start doing rooms in Clubhouse. If you're not on Clubhouse, check it out. It's a new internet platform. It's like it's an audio platform. It's an audio platform. You just kind of hop in and you get some really, really good information from people. So we'll see you. And don't forget,
stay connected.
Stay connected.
Stay connected to God. Stay connected to your family, and stay connected to your spouse
or your significant other.
Heath and Tracy in the DMV. Heath and Tracy TV.